Well, I mean, I've made a commitment to the American people, but most importantly, the citizens of Fulton County, that we were going to be making some big decisions regarding the election investigation, and that I would do that before September the 1st of 2023, and I'm going to hold true to that commitment. The work is accomplished. I mean, we've been working for 2.5 years. We're ready to go.
Hi again, everyone. It is 5 o'clock in New York. I'm Ayman Mohyeldin in for Nicole Wallace. Ready to go. The latest and strongest indication yet from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis that an indictment of the ex-president for his role in trying to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election results is likely, and likely soon. Tomorrow is August 1st, meaning we will hear Willis's charging decisions within the month, since she has signaled, and you just heard her repeat it this weekend, that her decision will come before September 1st. This highly anticipated announcement from Willis will mark the end of an over 2 years long investigation into the former president's actions that involved a special grand jury and ensnared many of Trump's allies, including Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows and others. And it could potentially be the third or even the fourth indictment this year for the current GOP frontrunner. As we also await an announcement from special counsel Jack Smith on his probe into election interference as well. Willis's stated deadline approaching as Trump's team suffered another legal defeat today. The judge overseeing the Fulton County Grand Jury, Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney, rejecting attempts by Trump's lawyers to disqualify Willis and quash the special grand jury's report. From his 9-page ruling, quote, they are insufficient because while being the subject or even target of a highly publicized criminal investigation is likely an unwelcome and unpleasant experience, no court ever has held that the status alone provides a basis for the courts to interfere with or halt the investigation. As NBC News reports, the ruling is the second against Trump on the issue in 2 weeks. The Georgia Supreme Court denied a similar request from Trump on July 17th. A third petition to the Fulton County Superior Court is pending, with a hearing scheduled for August 10th. In his Monday ruling, McBurney suggested his ruling should make the third action moot. Willis has made clear her understanding of the monumental task before her, potentially criminally indicting a former president. In a May letter, she asked judges to refrain from scheduling trials or in-person hearings between July 31st and August 18th, and said she would have 70% of her staff work remotely during that period. And recently, orange barricades were set up outside the Fulton County Courthouse. This weekend, Willis acknowledged the heightened security precautions.
Sometimes when people are unhappy, they act in a way that could create harm. I'm not willing to put my employees in harm's way. I'm not willing to put any of the employees or the constituents that come to the courthouse in harm's way. And so I think that the sheriff is doing something smart and making sure that the courthouse stays safe.
Joining us now, political columnist for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Patricia Murphy. Also with us, former Justice Department prosecutor and senior member of Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation, Andrew Weissmann, and editor-at-large for The Bulwark, Charlie Sykes, is back with us. Patricia, I'll start with you. You've been keeping up with all of the updates on this case. What do you make of D.A. Willis's comments this weekend, specifically the ready-to-go remark, and when are you expecting to hear an announcement from her office?
Yeah, so the DA's comments over the weekend that the work has been accomplished and she's ready to go. They've been working for 2.5 years. This is very, very consistent with what we've been hearing from Ms. Willis for more than 2 years. I spoke with her about 2 years ago about this kind of looming suspicion of Donald Trump. And she said, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go through the facts. If I can go through each fact, fact A, fact B, fact C, if this leads to an indictment, that's where I'm going to go. She said it doesn't matter if you're a homeless person on the streets or somebody who's the former president of the United States. If you commit a crime in her county, she will bring an indictment if she thinks she can close the case. We've heard, obviously, from special grand jurors earlier that they expected to bring indictments. We've heard that there won't be any surprises. So we do expect something from the DA. Obviously, the tension in Atlanta is getting really high. Those staffers now have been told to work remotely. They're down to about 70% staff, as your package package said. So we are anticipating anything really any day now. We know it could be over the next couple of weeks. The special grand juries meet in 2 panels on 2 separate days during the week. So all eyes are certainly on the Fulton County Courthouse, and the DA will come out immediately after those are announced, when they're announced, and explain the decision whether she decided to go forward or not.
Let me ask you about that tension for a moment. When it comes to the security concerns, you have new reporting about a warning that DA Willis sent to county leaders. And I just want to read a little bit from that. Willis warned a group of county leaders over the weekend to stay alert and make decisions that keep your staff safe. In the same group email obtained by the AJC, Willis forwarded an obscene message she had recently received as an example of the threats her office has gotten since opening an investigation into possible election interference back in 2020. The message called Willis a corrupt racial expletive and threatened, you are going to fail, you Jim Crow Democrat expletive. It's obviously reaching a fever pitch. We have seen the consequences of words in the past turn over to violence. Tell us about the threats and vitriol that Willis and her team have been facing. Donald Trump just over the weekend referred to her as a racist DA, and it's not the first time that he has gone after her in this vulgar, offensive manner.
Yeah, that's exactly right. She's getting those threats and racial epithets from the top to the bottom, from the former president all the way down to her email inbox, to her voicemail. We know that she has had personal protection for quite some time now. And she sent this email that she had gotten. She forwarded it to the Fulton County Commission, as well as their staff and other members of the Solicitor General's office, because it is all one large complex in downtown Atlanta. It's not just the Fulton County Courthouse. It's also where the Fulton County Commission meets. Around the corner is City Hall. Around the corner from that is the state capitol. So it's all in this government complex, a very tight perimeter. And once those orange barricades went up in particular, and once she did set a time frame starting today through about the end of the month, when she'd be coming down with a decision, the tensions have become very real. She sent this email to let commissioners know that it's a really serious situation. They have multiple murder trials going on in that complex. They have multiple very high-profile trials just about all the time, but she's signaling that this is something really different, that this is going to be a level of scrutiny, of intensity, and of potential, and hopefully not, but potential violence that she wants everybody to take very seriously down there for themselves, as well as their staff and anybody in the area as well.
Charlie, speak to this moment that we find ourselves in. I mean, this collision between the rule of law and the threat of political violence, which, you know, we in this country are not immune to. We have seen it time and time again, but we're, as Patricia was saying, we're seeing this on a whole new level because of what happened in the elections of 2020 and what we have now with the former president, this so-called, you know, party of law, Republicans who are not doing enough to quell the anger or the vitriol that is directed to law officials in this country, law enforcement officials in this country.
Well, I'm not hearing much effort to quell this at all. In fact, if anything, you see the escalation of the violence. And after January 6th, we're no longer talking just theoretically about the possibility that the former president might incite violence. And the fact that he keeps coming back to Fani Willis's race is a real tell. This is not a dog whistle. This is very much part of, you know, Trump's attempt to freeze and to target this particular DA. And he will make an issue of her race. He brings it up every single time. And I think that if you take Donald Trump's rhetoric seriously, as millions of Americans do, you see that the threat is quite real. I know there are some people who think that maybe we should just ignore Donald Trump. I think that's a huge mistake, because it does not take a huge number of people to act on the kind of rhetoric that they're hearing from their leader. And I think that this is a very dangerous moment. I mean, think about the next week, the next 14 days. You may have indictments coming out of Atlanta, then followed by, or preceded by, indictments from the special counsel. So everything is going to reach a boiling point frankly, in the middle of the summer of 2023. It's a very legitimate concern, and it is a completely unprecedented moment in American politics.